Hi, Misha here, and if you've been around the channel at all, you know we like AKs, kind of our thing, and we also like PCCs, pistol caliber carbines, or PCPs, pistol caliber pistols. It's like chicken fried chicken. And in the past, we've looked at a couple of 9mm offerings from Romania, the Chiappa and the Modul pistols, and even Century from time to time got in on the game. But these days, Arms of America is importing the Modul projects out of Cugir, however you say it, it's right. And I'm sure however I say it's wrong. And pick this up. This is the Carbine version. Like I said in the past, mostly we've had the pistols. It's easier to import pistols is one reason. So we're going to talk about the features, test it out, talk about the options. You can buy these right now and upcoming in the future, and review how it shoots. As always, if you could though, please do like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to help check us out and see early access to some videos like this, check out Patreon. So, what's new for this model? First off, this is the do-it-yourself model, meaning this is how it is imported, including with this sexy stock. I told Arms of America after getting it that they knew I was going to make fun of this stock. In the distant past, we looked at the literally like part of a shiffer robe or old bookcase that they cut off into kind of a stock shape at Pioneer Arms back when they sent us the original Pioneer AKMs in like 2015. I thought that was the most god-awful compliance stock. This might give it a run for its money. It is literally one just molded piece of hollow plastic, no butt plate. You can see the mold line, and I mean, check out that. And even if you get in there, trust me, the mold line is really sharp. But no one's going to keep this on. It's just done for import regs. Yeah, the import regulations on rifles banning features passed in the beginning of 1989 under the first Bush administration as an executive order. That all is still in place. Although the crime bill, which the assault weapons ban was part of back in 1994, it did sunset in 2004, which really is what gave rise to all the AK goodness beginning in 2005, including this gun. So yeah, no one's going to leave this stock on, but we are going to test fire it with the stock first. What's really new and different about this one, aside from just being a rifle, is this magwell adapter. Now, your older Chiappas and Nova guns did have adapters. Most of them were set up to take Glock mags, although I believe some early ones also took Beretta mags. But this one is set up to take CZ Scorpion Evo 3 mags. Now, this is the Gen 1. I know there's a lot newer, cooler ones. In fact, they ship with a mag pull. But this is kind of cool because these are double stack, double feed, easy to load, relatively short for their capacity, and has become a pretty common standard and pretty affordable. It even has a last round bolt hold open. Holds open with the mag out. Just no real release otherwise. See? And to make all that work, aside from that device, they did have to redo the feed ramp there. It's kind of the split in the middle. It's not a unibrow. They claim that was to get it to work with the Scorpion mag, because like your previous Glock mag version, it's a single feed, even though it's a double stack mag. So there was a little bit of a change to the design. It is designed to accept standard AKM type furniture, Romanian PM63, including the handguards, and yes, including the buttstock. The barrel is actually 17.5 inches, not 16.25, and that's kind of to work with the 9mm. Like previous Romanian 9mm, there's a bit of a block in the receiver here, and so you get a little extra barrel, but then that keeps all your dimensions the same, so that's useful. We do have a Picatinny rail on the top cover. Even though it is polymer, this is a 9mm, so, you know, hey. And it is kind of hinged the crank style. You can see the internals there. We'll get into that later more. It makes it a little bit easier, and it also makes this rail a little more viable than just the completely free-floating. My only complaint is it does flick up your iron sight when you do that and you just put it down. The good news is at least it does have an iron sight. Front adjustable. Also good, it does come with a cleaning rod. Of course, this is just a pure blowback gun using mass to work, not a gas piston. Although, you know, maybe if there was enough oomph, a gas piston AK would be pretty cool. And then it does come with a muzzle nut, and it is factory threaded 1/2 by 28. Now you're going to ask, are the threads concentric? Maybe. Look, I'm not dogging on them, but after dealing with Romanian constructed guns, no matter exactly which factory they're out of, I would always check to make sure they were concentric before throwing a suppressor. But we will try a muzzle brake and a flash shutter on this later. Alright, enough John. Before we modify it at all, let's just try it out with this wonderful stock and with a couple of different mags. We'll be using one 24 grain Phoenix at first, but if we have any issues, we have a few other types we can try. And we will compare it with another 9mm AK later on too. Alright, we're going to try it with the Provided Magpul mag. See how she does. Just put a few rounds in. Wow. That stock was not bad. And held open. Now we'll try it with one of my old Gen 1 well-used Scorpion mags. Same Phoenix ammo. You definitely have to grip the stock like this. Yeah, like this is how to do it. Don't even try to use the thumb hole. I will say though, no flip, and it doesn't have a lot of oscillation, but then again, that's kind of the benefit of being a carbine with a barrel over 17 inches, and that's not even with a muzzle brake on here yet. Alright, let's try it with another Scorpion mag. Tried maybe some double taps. A little hard to do, but I think it's the stock more than anything else limiting. Alright. A little bit warm here. Obviously this isn't because there's no gas system. Tell you what, before we go further, let's crack her open and just do a real quick inspection to see how the wear is looking. Alrighty, here we go. Note the recoil spring is shorter. And yes, we do have this buffer spacer in the back that seems to have been something early on that gave people concerns, but I think in the older guns they are holding up pretty well. But you can let me know. The Dracos and 7.62 39 also have them, but it's just a spacer because they're using the same full-sized receiver. And then without that there, this just comes out. Yeah, no gas there. I mean, I don't know where we'd expect to see. It does have a spring-loaded firing pin. I don't see an out of battery safety. Again, first impressions, guys. So I think, yeah, it just goes forward. It's probably not a big deal. If it were a machine gun, that might be something you'd want. I do like the feed ramp. It seems well done. Of course, we're using brass cased ammo. Standard trigger group. Yeah, you guys can look in there and see if you see anything, but nothing's jumping at me. No loose rattling parts when I cracked it open. And trust me, in the past, with some guns, that has happened before. With that, we'll get back to shooting it. Alright, I loaded the Magpul mag up pretty well all the way. There we go. See how she do. Not too gassy. That smells like 4th of July. Held open again. I'm kind of impressed with how that works. And I do like that the paddle on the adapter is pretty good oversized. Alright, back with a Scorpion mag. And I will say, when the mags are more fully loaded, you need to kind of slap them a little more firmly than otherwise. But continues to work. Get a second opinion here. What you think?
Not a fan of this stock, that's for sure.
I'd worry if you were. Now, the reason they do that, it's a compliance thing for imports. A long time ago, they made it where you couldn't import that type of gun with a pistol grip. However, what's funny is, once it's in the country, you can install a pistol grip, and in fact, that's what we're about to do. As I said, this is the do-it-yourself, the DIY. So it's just as you see it, the wonderful polymer stock and the simplified Romanian wood handguards. As far as the furniture options, if you don't want to do it yourself, they do offer a basic model with just like black polymer, probably US made stuff. And they offer a version with Romanian surplus wood, including a dong out here. So used battlefield condition. Or, since they're associated with the WBP and all that too, you can get a version with the WBP furniture, either the classic laminate or the Russian red. They even had one offering, I'm presuming it's US made, with the kind of border guard green furniture, which is, you know, kind of cool for a certain vibe, a certain look. That we've made sure it does run, because I didn't want to go to the trouble of taking this off and putting something else on, only to find out it wasn't working. Now that I'm pretty confident it does, let's at least put something a little better on here, and then let's compare it with the other 9mm AK carbine that I still own. Alright, took this off. Yeah, it's hollow. But you know what? It serves the purpose for importation. And after that, we don't need it. Grabbed just really some furniture, since I'm out of the cabin, I don't have a lot of choices. And I do believe this is a Romanian commercial stock, because it has the kind of that style of screw. It's either off a Wasser or maybe even another Nova Modul gun. But it went on perfectly. The screw holes lined up quite well. I just used the screws. They're really more machine screws than wood screws, but it's a 9mm. And threw on just a generic pistol grip. The only thing I found was the square in the bottom of the receiver at least for the nut I happened to grab, was a little small, so I just hit it with a file, just a couple of light whacks. I probably could have forced it in, but yeah. I'm gonna try this muzzle a couple more. We actually shot quite a bit yesterday afternoon, but that was the only clip I could show you because the sound cut out. I'm not sure if it was a cable that pulled out or the battery on the mic died, but I can say it worked well for us. But we've been using the Phoenix 124 grain ammo. I wanted to try it with a few other types, and we're going to start with the S&B 124. Just a few to test her out at first. And as we've been seeing, she held it open. We'll move back to the Magpul mag. Try a little bit faster fire now that we have the pistol grip. And held open. And finish off that box. Had one little thing there. This gun is getting very dirty at this point. Really more rounds than I intended. There we go. So one little jam up there, but even though I can't show you the footage from yesterday, I can let you peek inside, see the grit and grime, and let's inspect the buffer in the back too. Started the disassembly process. I mean, it's a shorter recoil spring, but makes sense. Here's our buffer. It's fine. In fact, it still has kind of the injection molds. Now, obviously, there's not going to be any carbon buildup here, not a gas piston. It's just a counterweight to our bolt face. And now, I should have grabbed a white glove just to be all fancy and show you, but this has to be filthy because it's a blowback gun. So, yeah. Bolt hold open. I'm really actually impressed how well the bolt hold open works. A lot of times with NAK, it's intermittent at best. But you guys can see in there better than I. But it seems to be fine. And obviously, as we discussed yesterday, having a proper pistol grip makes all the difference in the world. Alright, gonna let her cool off for a minute. So you saw inside there, it is getting dirty. That's kind of what happens. Talked about the barrel a little bit. It is not chrome lined, and it's just button rifled, but it's just kind of how commercialing is. It's actually very difficult to get permission to chrome plate things in Europe now don't blame Nova Modul. I can say it has a 1 in 10 twist for what it's worth. As I mentioned, the muzzle is threaded half by 28. And I can report that the company says the threads are concentric. Therefore, they say it is suppressor ready. I didn't bring a suppressor out, but I did want to try at least some device on here. And I needed something that was half by 28 and 9mm. So I grabbed this. This is from the USA KR9. And it dogs down tight. It doesn't have any detent cuts, but you know, let's try it out and see if it kind of helps with recoil or not. All right, gonna keep on with that same S&B, see if the brake changes the impulse at all. Not really. She held open. Editing fill in the gap Misha here. Obviously the gun that we brought out put side by side with the NAK-9R is the KUSA KR9 Carbine. Sadly now out of production. Essentially American clone of the Saga 9, the Vitiaz Samata. And these are very similar. But this is an import. And this is domestic made, although both are from commercial companies. Unfortunately, we did put several mags through the KUSA, and as usual, it ran absolutely fine. And none of those clips worked out. So, sorry, didn't have time to re-record, but there were no surprises. Both shot identically, reliably, not a lot of different without recoil. Colton, who helps me run the camera there, he thought this stock was a little more comfortable, understandable. This on the NAK-9 I just threw on is kind of definitely the pistol grip, but that's furniture, you know. I will say one pro in the KUSA's favor is this receiver is specially built for 9mm, so you don't have that extra area in front. You don't have that block. So it's a little bit shorter and lighter. And of course this uses a modified AKM type. You get a little more oomph out there. So I do like that a little more on the KUSA. It does have that more kind of purpose-built feel. On the other hand, the magazine situation. Again, magwell on this. The KUSA just came in one version. It took copies of the Vitiaz mag. And that was fine when they were in business, but now that they're hard to get, it's a problem. This one, able to accept such a wide range of magazines, is nice. Plus, you get the last round hold open. I like that a lot. Of course, the KOC doesn't have it because the VTS doesn't have it, so take it for what you will. So I think when it comes to the magazine part, unless you're doing a clone of a Russian gun, this is better. On the other hand, the bolt throw and the trigger, absolutely nicer on the KUSA. I do like that this has the kind of more full-length throw. It doesn't have the block in the back. It just feels better. Really quite a nice trigger on these. On the flip side again, though, this gun is good for what it is, and if you want to do a Saga 9 clone. That's it. Whereas the Nova here, it's a blank canvas. I mean, it's in the name, but do it yourself. You could essentially put whatever furniture or muzzle device you want on here, or magwell, or pistol grip, or optic, because it's not really a clone or copy of anything military, you can dress it, do it however you prefer. So in terms of just shootability, it may be better. Now, if you're thinking about which one's more accurate, I don't know. This is Mishaco. I'm blind. This isn't for accuracy. If I were to guess, they're probably about the same because they're a long-barreled 9mm. But that was the gun I brought out to compare, especially if we were having problems with the Nova. Since we just ran a few mags through the KUSA. No issues one way or the other there. If you would like to see a versus video, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, let's just keep on and wrap this up. Let's do one final mag using the old Scorpion mag, and let's go back to the Phoenix 124 grain where we all started. Final thoughts. We had one failure there, as you saw, and I am not going to 100% say it's not just because the gun's getting dirty. But considering we fired probably, I don't know, over 500, under 1,000 rounds through it over 3 days now, that's not bad for what it is. Now, is this a serious duty gun? No. It's not really based on a real-world submachine gun of any type. It's a plinkster. That said, color me impressed on the reliability of the cycling, on the reliability of the last round hold open, and on their choice of magazine. Scorpion mags, they're just a good choice in 2025 for affordability and options. And again, I'm using my old Gen 1s, so the newer ones should even be better. And it takes standard AKM furniture and other parts. The only concerning parts would be, again, the buffer block in the back. They don't seem to really give as many issues as people once thought they could. Still, if aftermarket company would like to make spares, it wouldn't be a bad thing. You might also want a spare firing pin. I would say that with about any 9mm PCC. Everything else, though, it's kind of just standard AKM. And I am interested to pick up one of the Glock magwells when those come out later in the summer. And in a future video, we're going to get to know Nova Modul a bit more. Kind of like WBP, yes, they're commercial, but that doesn't inherently mean it's a bad company and they turn out bad products. It just means, you know, maybe they need to prove themselves a bit more. And when it comes to their 9mm AK style guns, I think they've kind of got it. They started off with the Chiappa PAC-9, moving through the Century Arms, Nova, and Draco in 9. But those are pistols. This being a rifle has a lot of advantages. One, the recoil impulse is very gentle. Two, you're going to get a longer sight radius, a little better accuracy. I do think it's neat that the threads are concentric according to them. That's something we should test in the future. And finally, there are some states where you can't do a pistol, or a brace pistol in some cases, but you can do a carbine. Might have to be modified, but you can. Either way, it's something new on the market, and frankly, with KUSA gone and every other AK going up constantly in price, and the price of 760x39 right now, it's fun. Is it earth-shattering, revolutionary? No, but that's okay. Most guns don't need to be. The Springfield Kuna is a good example. That's another one that just came out. I really like it. Is it extraordinarily new and different? No, but it's fun. So with that said, tried it out a bit. Sorry the comparison with the KR9 was truncated, but, you know, we tried. Take our word for it. And let me know which one you kind of like better. The Nova NAK-9R or the old KUSA KR9. Or something else. None at all. Maybe you want an AR9 mil. I will say personal experience. I have found 9mm AK types a little more reliable than most 9mm AR types that are on the market. Take that for what it's worth. But in the comments, let's discuss AR, AK. And if you please could, like, share, and subscribe. And check out Patreon. We did an early access to this over there. And try to do it whenever time permits. This is Misha. Catch you very soon next time.